Revealed. The heartwarming moment my daughter exposed my hidden fortune at her wedding speech. Sarah stood quietly by the church doors, her heart racing as she watched the last of the guests filter in. Today was Emily's wedding day, a day she had poured her heart and soul into planning, even on a shoestring budget. A bittersweet smile crossed her face as she thought of her late father, a decorated war veteran, whose legacy weighed heavily on her, both emotionally and financially. It had been hard to let go of the small inheritance he left her, even after all these years. That money now felt like a reminder of loss rather than a blessing. "Mom, are you okay? You look tense." Emily's voice broke through her thoughts, sparkling with excitement. "I'm fine, sweetie. Just a little overwhelmed," Sarah replied, though her tight chest told a different story. The wedding was supposed to be perfect, but each detail reminded her of their struggles. Did she really deserve to use what her father left? She wanted to project strength, to embody the spirit of a mom who sacrifices for her child as happiness. As the ceremony began, laughter danced through the air, mingled with the sweet scent of fresh flowers. But beneath the surface, unspoken tensions simmered. Emily's vision of a grand affair clashed with Sarah's deep-rooted frugality. Conversations that had once been filled with excitement turned into heated arguments about cost and practicality. It was exhausting, and Sarah found herself swallowed by guilt, afraid that her worries about money were suffocating her daughter's dreams. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The vows were beautiful, the couple glowing with happiness. Emily, perfect in her flowing dress, stood tall and radiant, but Sarah felt a storm brewing inside her. When Emily took the mic for her speech, an uncomfortable hush fell over the crowd, sensing something was different. I want to share something today, something I've kept locked away for too long. Emily's fingers trembled as she glanced at her mother, whose eyes widened in shock. "You see, my mom," her voice cracked, filled with emotion. "When Dad passed, she was left with a small fortune. But she chose not to use it. She sacrificed everything, all for me." Gasps echoed through the church. The townsfolk leaned in, whispers trailing off into stunned silence. Emily continued, her heart pounding as she revealed the truth of their family's struggle, highlighting her mother's eternal dedication masked by the burden of pride. "This wedding is my dream, but it's also a reflection of my mother's sacrifices. It shouldn't just be about what she lost, but how she fought through." As the words hung in the air, a wave of realization washed over the crowd. Family secrets dared to escape into the light, crumbling the wall built on love and loss. Were they all misjudging this moment? Could the chasm between the dreams of a devoted mother and her ambitious daughter broaden? In that charged atmosphere, with tears glistening in her eyes, Sarah felt the weight shift, leaving her breathless. The room pulsed with unanswered questions, a delicate junction of revelation and redemption, their intertwined paths still desperately searching for connection. As Emily's words echoed through the church, Sarah felt the room spin. Emotions surged through her: shock, pride, vulnerability. The whispers of the guests morphed into a low roar. Faces turned towards her, eyes wide with curiosity and pity. She could sense the weight of their gaze pressing down, yet a strange kind of warmth unfolded in her chest. Was it possible that this act of courage from her daughter was beginning to rewrite her own story? Taking a deep breath, Sarah locked eyes with Emily. In that moment, everything clicked. The worries, the guilt, the years of denial all melted away, thrusting her into the present. Emily was sharing her truth, and it felt like finally lifting a heavy veil. It wasn't just about money. It was about legacy, sacrifice, and love. Suddenly the voices of the guests swelled. What a brave young woman! Someone exclaimed, breaking through the silence. The tide of murmurs swelled, and she caught snippets of admiration mixed with disbelief. I had no idea. She must be so proud of her mother. A flicker of anger ignited within Sarah. While the world admired her sacrifice, no one knew the real struggle. The constant battle between providing a good life for Emily and staying true to their values. Yet, amidst that fury, she found a counterbalance, relief tinged with gratitude. Her daughter had taken the first step towards a deeper understanding of their shared journey. As the speeches continued, Sarah noticed the supportive glances exchanged among guests. Some teared up, while others smiled warmly. Emily was painting a picture of resilience she had never thought of sharing publicly. It was as if they were all re-examining their own stories, seeing reflections of their sacrifices and struggles within her narrative. Once the ceremony moved to the reception, Sarah felt every step heavier than the last. She shifted through the crowd, unsure how to navigate this new territory of openness. Past guests approached her, expressing sentiments she had longed for but never knew how to articulate herself. "Your strength has inspired so many of us," an old family friend said, wrapping her in a tight embrace. And Emily, wow, what a revelation. "Thank you," Sarah uttered, though part of her felt conflicted. Was she really deserving of such praise? Did they truly see the sacrifice as she intended it? Or was she simply a character in a story everyone loved to tell, an unwitting heroine in a play she never auditioned for? As the dance floor came alive with laughter and music, Emily found her. "Mom, can we talk?" "I'm not sure I'm ready," Sarah admitted, a tightness returning to her throat. "Please," Emily said, her eyes shimmering with sincerity. "You deserve to be part of this happiness too." With a nod, they slipped outside, the cool evening air wrapping around them like an embrace. The stars twinkled above, waiting for them to find their way back to each other. But uncharted territories lay ahead, questions unasked and fears unspoken. "Mom, I just want you to know everything I said today. It's how I truly feel. But now it's your turn. What do you want?" There, standing outside that lovely church, the silence stretched, both women on the precipice of transformation, ready to climb or fall. What would Sarah reveal to her daughter? Would she finally share the truth that had haunted her in the shadows? The moment of truth loomed just in reach. The cool crispness of the night air felt sharp against Sarah's skin. She hugged herself, protecting the vulnerable part of her that Emily had just exposed to the world. Her mind raced, caught in a whirlwind of thoughts. How could she possibly articulate the tangled emotions coursing through her? "Mom, you're not alone in this." Emily's voice broke through her haze, steadying her. "I'm here. Whatever it is, we can face it together." Sarah looked at her daughter, that earnest young woman whose bravery had inspired a room full of people. She had once believed so firmly in the idea of sacrifice that it consumed her. After years of running a race with no finish line, now Emily was asking her to turn back. But could she? "Emily," Sarah began, hesitating as uncertainty gripped her throat like a vice. "You have no idea what I've carried, what I've hidden. Try me," Emily urged, taking a small step closer, the sincerity in her gaze unwavering. Taking a shaky breath, Sarah recalled the evenings spent lost in worry while pushing bills aside, the guilt layered tightly in her chest. "I never wanted you to feel burdened by my choices. Every time I had to say no to something for you, it broke me a little," she confessed, her voice soft yet tinged with urgency. "I wanted to give you everything while shielding you from everything I felt. But I can handle it, Mom." "You don't have to be ashamed," Emily reassured, stepping in again. "You're not just a sacrifice. You're my mother. You're everything to me." Sarah felt the floodgates weakening. She had lived quietly, adhering to an unspoken code of strength. But what if there was strength in vulnerability? "I don't want you to see me as the woman who struggled, Emily. I wanted to be your hero." "But all heroes have flaws," Emily said, her voice gaining momentum. "And if you let me see yours, it could bring us closer. It could help me understand everything." A lump formed in Sarah's throat, hot tears stinging her eyes. She remembered all those late-night tears, the sacrifices that seemed endless. How did one explain a lifetime of struggles crammed into a few words? I wanted to give you a better life. And maybe I lost myself in trying to create that. But that is the part you need to take back, Emily replied urgently. You can't raise me to be strong if you aren't being real with me. I love you, and I love your flaws, your stories, your everything. The sheer weight of those words hung between them, a bridge built from heart to heart. Sarah felt the urge to crumble under the openness, but also a spark of courage igniting within her. Could she really do this? I've never shared this with anyone. She closed her eyes, hovering on the edge of disclosure. A long time ago, I made some choices that led to, well, some unexpected opportunities. Emily waited, her eyes wide with a mix of eagerness and trepidation. And maybe there is something about our past that explains a lot of why I've lived under the surface. The confession hung in the air, heavy yet liberating. Just as Sarah prepared to delve deeper, a loud cheer erupted from the reception behind them, pulling them back into reality. "Mom, Dad, come back in." A voice yelled. "We should go back," Emily said, glancing back toward the vibrant lights spilling through the doors. "But promise me we'll revisit this. I want to hear everything." Sarah nodded, the reality of what was about to unfold still tingling at the tips of her fingers. What had she just committed to? As they walked back, she felt a shift, a connection knitting closer between them. But deep down, another question tugged at her heart. What would this reveal mean for their future? Would their relationship survive the unveiling of the past? The dance floor beckoned, but the raw truth still lingered, harrowing and beautiful, ready to be explored in the chapters to come. As they stepped back into the brightly lit reception, a wave of excitement washed over Sarah, softening the raw tension she had felt moments before. The laughter of friends and family blossomed around them, mingling with the sweet notes of a band that played a familiar tune. It felt like stepping into a different world, one where worries faded, if only for a while. But Sarah's heart still thudded heavily in her chest, each beat a reminder of the weight she carried. Emily had forged a path toward the truth, and the thought of what lay ahead sent shivers down Sarah's spine. What if her past changes everything? "Let us find your dad," Emily said, a smile flickering across her face, pulling Sarah deeper into the warmth of the celebration. They maneuvered through the crowd, dodging guests adorned in their finest clothes, their cheerful chatter a comforting backdrop. Sarah watched as she mingled with friends, her eyes resting on the beautiful dress Emily wore. It was a symbol of the bright, new beginnings that awaited her daughter. As they approached the dance floor, Sarah spotted Max, her husband, beaming broadly as he held court with a gaggle of laughter-filled relatives. His joy radiated, and for a brief moment, she felt a pang of nostalgia. How many times had they danced in moments like this? "Dad!" Emily's voice rang out, brighter than the chandeliers above. Max turned, eyes sparkling when they met Emily's radiant face. "Hey there, beautiful. Ready for your big dance?" he asked, enveloping her in a hug. "Actually, can we wait a minute? I need to share something with you both first," Emily said, glancing back at Sarah. Max's brow arched in curiosity. "Something special?" "Yeah, kind of." Emily took a deep breath, her gaze darting between her parents. "I'd love for you both to gather everyone around for a toast." The clarity in Emily's voice electrified Sarah with hope mixed with dread. She could see the anticipation blooming across the room as guests settled, whispering amongst themselves. The weight of expectation began to shift from her to Emily, but the layers of her heart felt unmatched, a web of complex emotions ready to unravel. "Okay, let us do it," Max replied, putting his arm around Sarah as they joined the growing circle of family and friends. Sarah's nerves quivered, tightening the spaces in her chest. "When I first imagined this moment, I thought it would be strictly about love and laughter, but today, it's also about something deeper," Emily began, her voice steady like the shining stars above. "Mom, Dad, I want to thank you for everything you are and all that you've done for me." Tears brimmed Sarah's eyes. She was still grappling with how her private struggles could transform into something so richly meaningful, while Emily wove together sentiments that reverberated through Sarah's very core. And in doing that, I want to celebrate the imperfect, the struggles, and the choices that shape us, Emily continued, her voice rising. So, here's to embracing it all. Mom, you show me strength. You didn't wear a cape, but you taught me that it's okay to be vulnerable. Sarah's heart raced. What were Emily's words leading to? In this moment, she was both proud and terrified. With her voice taking on a more serious tone, Emily added, "And I want to share a little of your story, one you've never told anyone." Gasps echoed softly around the crowd. Wait, what? Sarah's mind spiraled. Emily smiled, taking a deep breath. Mom, I want them to know that you're not just my hero. You're human. You've battled challenges I can only imagine, and I love you for that. The muffled murmurs in the crowd swirled around her, and Sarah felt lightheaded. What would they think? The story curled around her like a fiery blanket, both burning and warming her at the same time. As the attentive gazes locked onto her, the world around them faded, and the corridor of truth stood open before her. Would she step through into the light of revelation or bear the shadows of her past alone? The crowd leaned in closer, and amid clinking glasses and soft gasps, the world hinged on the precipice of her silence. Sarah took a deep breath, ready to cross the threshold, ready to share what had been hidden for so long, but did she truly have the strength to do it? Sarah stood at the center of the circle, her heart thundering in her ears. Emily's gaze anchored her, reassuring yet unyielding. The room was thick with anticipation, a hushed stillness where laughter once thrived. All eyes were fixed on her, a weighty spotlight that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. As the moment stretched, Sarah wrestled with her thoughts. There was so much to share, so much to hide, and the lines between them blurred in a whirlwind of emotions. Would revealing herself fracture the delicate balance of her family, or would it bring them closer together? Okay, she whispered, so soft that only she could hear. Gathering courage, she spoke, her voice barely above a murmur. Emily, I can't put into words how much it means to hear you say those things. The crowd seemed to hold its breath. She could feel every heart in the room thrumming in anticipation, waiting for her next move. I've always tried my best to shield you from my struggles, Sarah continued. Her throat felt dry, and she could see Max's face knit with concern, a mirror of her own vulnerability. I thought that if I kept my burdens hidden, I could protect you from the pain they carried. In that moment, a few faces softened, nodding in understanding, but there were still many puzzled expressions. Their gazes were a mirror reflecting the emotions she was battling inside. I made mistakes, she confessed, her voice gaining strength. Mistakes that I thought defined my life. I was scared to share the truth because it felt too messy, too complicated. I didn't want you to think less of me. A tense silence hung, and Sarah could sense Emily's resolve pushing her onward. My journey hasn't always been easy, Sarah said, taking a precious breath to steady herself. I faced choices that shaped who I am today in ways I never fully understood. And I still struggle. Every day, empathy rippled through the crowd. They could relate. The idea of battling one's own demons, of carrying weights others couldn't see, was a feeling shared by many. I thought protecting you meant blinding you to my mistakes, she went on, locking eyes with her daughter, the reflection of love and understanding pouring into her heart. But now I see that sharing my story could show you strength, real strength. You taught me that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a bridge to deeper connections. Tears glistened in her eyes as she glanced around the room. Sarah could see the flickering lights of understanding igniting in others, some even wiping away tears of their own. I'm still learning, each day, to accept the flaws that make me me. As she spoke, she caught Max's gaze again, his expression shifting to one of pride and compassion. She felt the walls start to crumble, the air lighter, as if the truth had wings. So, here we are, Sarah concluded, her voice steady. Together, I want you all to know that the hardest battles can lead to the greatest discoveries. I choose love, acceptance, and growth. A wave of applause erupted, accompanied by cheers that filled the space with warmth. Sarah felt the heavy fog of fear dissipate, replaced by a radiant light of acceptance from all sides. Emily rushed to her, wrapping her arms tightly around her. "That was beautiful, Mom. Thank you for urging me to do that," Sarah whispered, her heart swelling with gratitude. But just as relief washed over them, Max cleared his throat, eyes twinkling with mischief. "Well, I definitely didn't see that coming. What do you have up your sleeve now, Em? Do you have any surprises left for us?" Emily grinned, her energy surging back. "Just a few. But now, I've got a question in mind for Mom." Sarah's stomach twisted with intrigue and apprehension. What could her daughter possibly have in store next after such a heartfelt moment? As laughter and chatter resumed, Sarah's heart raced again, but this time with excitement rather than dread. "Let us keep this energy going," Emily said, a glimmer of mischief dancing in her eyes. "Mom, tell us what was your biggest fear? And what did you break through?" Sarah inhaled deeply, gearing up to face whatever was coming next. She could feel the crowd drawing closer again, ready to listen. And this time, she was ready to embrace the journey ahead. What would it take to share her truth in full? Sarah felt the warmth of the room wash over her again, yet it was mixed with a rush of nerves. Emily's question hung in the air like a challenge. What was her biggest fear? It was as if she were standing at the edge of a cliff, peering into an abyss that echoed her past mistakes and regrets. I think she started, glancing around to gauge the crowd's expressions. "My biggest fear has always been being unworthy. Unworthy of love. Unworthy of belonging. There were times when I felt like I was just pretending, wearing a mask to hide the real me from everyone I cared about." A soft murmur of understanding rippled through the crowd. She could see some of her friends nodding knowingly. The truth in her vulnerability seemed to resonate, striking chords deep within fellow warriors of their own hidden battles. Behind every smile I struggled to believe I was enough. I thought that if I kept my flaws close, no one could ever truly get to know me, until I realized holding on to that fear was making it worse. It created walls instead of bridges. As she spoke, she recalled pivotal moments, the nights spent tossing and turning, the silent tears, and the moments of clarity where she finally glimpsed the strength she possessed to change her narrative. "I think the turning point was seeing you, Emily," she continued, her voice shaky but filled with purpose. "Watching you grow into this incredible young woman made me question my own courage. You embraced every inch of your beautiful self, flaws and all." Emily's eyes sparkled with pride, and the room felt heavy with emotion. Sarah's heart swelled as she saw the ease with which Emily carried herself, and it reminded her of her own long journey to self-acceptance. "I realized," she added with a renewed strength, "that I didn't want you to inherit my fears. I wanted to pass down something brighter, something that shines." She looked directly at Emily, something real. "And what did you break through?" Max called out, leaning forward, his gaze intent on his mother. "I finally broke through the fear of being seen. I learned that our imperfections do not define us. They're just pieces of our story. I was scared of how others might view me, but I found that sharing who I really am isn't just liberating for me. It can inspire others too." Applause erupted again, brighter and bolder this time. Tears streamed down some faces as candid realizations washed over them. Sarah's chest felt lighter, filled with layers of love and acceptance that enveloped her. "Life is messy," she added with a smile, "but it's also filled with beauty. And here, with all of you, I can finally feel that." The clamor died down, but an air of excitement buzzed in the corners of the room. Max could almost feel the collective heartbeats, everyone's attentiveness hanging on his mother's words, eager for more. "So what's next?" he asked teasingly. "More stories? Or are we all going on a game show here?" Everyone chuckled, even Sarah, as her mind raced with what stories were still buried within her. Maybe they weren't ready for everything just yet, but it felt good to open the door. "I got a few more things to share," Sarah said, feeling the thrill of honesty in her veins. "Things that shaped me even further, things that made me rethink everything I thought I knew about." She paused, leaving a context of suspense hanging, love and forgiveness. As she looked around the faces of those she held dear, she saw encouragement shining through their eyes. There were layers still waiting to be uncovered, and she felt a spark ignite within her. She had no idea where this journey would take her next, but she was ready to dive deeper into her revelations. "Just wait until I tell you about the time I almost missed my chance at happiness," she said, a teasing glimmer catching her eye. "You won't believe how close I came to letting fear win." The crowd leaned in closer, anticipation rising. It felt like stepping into the unknown, a thrilling precipice awaiting the leap of faith. What more did Sarah have to reveal? "Okay," Sarah began, gathering her thoughts as the laughter faded. "Let us see, it all started with a choice I made when I was your age, Emily. I was faced with what felt like the biggest decision of my life. I was in love, but I was also terrified. It was the kind of love that made my heart race and my cheeks flush, and yet doubts crept in." The room fell silent, tension electrifying the air as she took a breath. She reviewed her memories, pulling up the feelings that were buried but alive within her. "I met him at a coffee shop downtown. He was funny, handsome, and had this smile that made me weak in the knees. We clicked instantly, sharing stories of our dreams and fears over steaming mugs of coffee. But with every laugh, my past whispered loud warnings. Would I be enough for him? Would he see through my facade? Those thoughts wrapped around me like a heavy blanket, stifling my joy. Those listening were enraptured, hanging on every word. Sarah could see their faces reflecting the echoes of their own fears, their own what-ifs. I remember sitting in my car one rainy afternoon, looking at my phone. I had his text open on the screen, an invitation to meet his friends. My heart wanted to say yes, but my mind screamed for me to run. I panicked, convinced I wasn't worthy of someone like him, that my messy past would seep through the cracks and ruin everything good we had. A few people exchanged knowing glances, remembering their own moments of hesitation. But then, Sarah continued, her voice steady. I heard a small voice inside me, maybe it was the universe or a wise friend whispering in my ear. It told me to take the leap. So, I hit send and told him I'd come. And that moment changed everything. Sarah felt warmth wash over her as she allowed herself to savor the memory. As I entered that room filled with laughter, my heart raced. I remember the sight of him lighting up when he saw me. It wasn't just a room of friends. It felt like a new beginning. With every shared smile and story, I felt a weight lift. I started to realize what would have happened if I hadn't come. I would have missed this happiness that had been waiting for me all along. Emotions swirled in the air, Sarah's passion igniting something within the audience. Love isn't just about fairy tales and perfect moments. It's also about trusting in ourselves despite our scars. Every moment I hesitated told me one thing. We often stand in our own way. But by choosing to show up, I also chose to be part of my own story. She paused for effect, letting her words sink in. The truth is, love and forgiveness are intertwined. I learned to forgive myself for my fears, my doubts. I realized that they didn't define me, and letting that love in gave me strength. Without taking that leap, I wouldn't have met the man I married, the father of my beautiful children. Tears glistened in some eyes, the weight of her story intertwining with their lives. But that's not the end of it, she said, a playful smirk dancing on her lips. There was a twist I never saw coming. That leap of faith I took, it ultimately led to a decision I was too afraid to consider before the crowd leaned in. A collective breath held. What twist awaited them? I guess you'll have to wait until next time to hear about the fortune I was too scared to embrace. With the promise of more revelations hanging in the air, the room buzzed with curiosity, eager to unearth the depths of Sarah's journey. What'd she unearth this time? As the crowd buzzed, anticipation crackled in the air. Sarah could see eager faces, their eyes wide with curiosity. The urge to dive deeper into the story was palpable. She loved this part, when she could feel their energy intertwining with her own recollections. The laughter of that day was still fresh in her mind, but the twist she had hinted at loomed larger than life. "All right, let's talk about this twist," she said, her tone shifting to a mixture of mischief and warmth. She watched them lean in closer. "After that night of laughter and love, I fell hard. The man I met became everything. My confidant, my partner, my rock. But life isn't just about romance. It throws everything at you, especially when you least expect it." The room turned quiet as she continued, still carefully sprinkling details like magic dust. "I didn't just have to navigate love. Soon after we got married, we faced our first real challenge." Memories whirred through her mind like leaves caught in a whirlwind. "Early in our marriage, we lost everything in a fire." It sounds cliché, but it truly felt like the rug was pulled out from under us. I remember standing in the ashes of our home, holding his hand. All I could do was cry over the losses and the dreams that now barely flickered in the smoke. But in that moment of despair, love wrapped around us tighter than any material possession ever could. We could rebuild. By this point, Sarah noticed a few people getting emotional. Tears sparked like tiny stars in their eyes, and she felt a sense of solidarity with them. Pain and hope, two faces of love that often went hand in hand. Why didn't T realize back then was that pressing through challenges forms a bond stronger than anything. But the real fortune? It was hiding in our vulnerability, Sarah confessed softly. She took in a deep breath as she prepared to share something more intimate. "Years later, I stood there as a proud mother, watching Emily's wedding unfold. But while my heart swelled with love and joy, I felt a tug at my insides. My secret almost spilled out that day. You see, our new beginnings, our resilience, it all led to a surprise punchline that I never thought I'd have to share." Gasps of surprise rippled through the audience. When my daughter stood to give her speech, she led with a story. A story about how her parents navigated loss and love, but then it turned into something else. As she spoke, all I could think was, "Oh no, she won T." Laughter erupted, a comforting sound in the intimacy of the room. Sarah's eyes danced at the memory. Emily revealed something I wasn't prepared for. Amidst our tales of loss, she declared that we were the richest family because of the emotional wealth we built together. And then, she held up our wedding photo, the one we nearly lost. "This is my mom and dad, the true fortunes of my life," she said. "Their love is my inheritance." Tears slipped down Sarah's cheeks, but laughter echoed to a sweet resonance of pride and love. I was overwhelmed. In those moments, I learned that while we can never erase the scars of our journey, we can use them to guide us. Emily grew up knowing that love transcends all. It's the greatest fortune we can ever achieve. The room was silent, hearts full and minds racing. And now, as she steps in her own chapter of love, I've realized that this journey of self-discovery continues. I wonder what new fortunes await her, what love stories will she write? The question hovered in the air, igniting curiosity once more. What awaited Emily in her own journey? The room pulsed with energy, eager to see how the story unfolded next. The emotional charge in the room was electric. Sarah took a moment, drinking in the hushed responses of her audience as they processed her words. She knew that her own story ran parallel to Emily's. There was an undeniable bond between them, forged through trials and the rawness of life. She glanced around the room, spotting the faces reflecting a mixture of nostalgia and understanding. The struggles, the victories, the laughter, they all intertwined. Surely, they too had stories that echoed her own. Perhaps they had stood in the ashes, feeling the heat of loss. Maybe they had risen from those flames, stronger and more connected. And as I watched Emily speak, I realized something profound. Sarah continued, her voice steady. Life doesn't just hand you a manual on love and family. You learn as you go, through every triumph and every setback. There was power in vulnerability. It brought people together in unspoken understanding. She remembered how many nights she spent discussing dreams with her husband, creating a tapestry of hopes and life lessons, never truly realizing how deep those conversations would run. Like any journey, we are bound to hit speed bumps, she said, her tone taking on a reflective quality. But there is also joy in navigating those bumps together. As she spoke, Sarah's mind drifted to those quiet evenings spent with Emily, sharing pizza on the couch and brainstorming what love might look like in the future. "My daughter," she said softly, as if speaking directly to the warmth of the memory. "She learned resilience from us, but also creativity. When life pulled her away from the expected, she crafted her own path." Suddenly, the sound of someone sniffling broke the spell. On the edge of her audience, a woman dabbed her eyes with a tissue, her face crumpled in recognition. Sarah felt her heart swell again. This was what storytelling did. It created connections, bridges allowing emotions to flow freely from one heart to another. And now, as Emily embarks on her own adventure of love, I can't help but wonder how she will face her own trials. Will she hold tight to the lessons we've instilled in her? For a brief moment, she worried. Would her daughter navigate the world as gracefully as she had hoped? A chicken scratch note passed her by, and she caught it mid-thought. It read, "She has you to guide her." And that's everything. The reassurance resonated with her, and she smiled. "But you know what?" she continued, picking up steam. "There will come a day when she'll have to write her own story, one that might not always align with mine. I assent that what life is about, crafting a narrative full of twists that surprise us when we least expect it." The room was alive with nods and murmurs of agreement. The shared experiences drew them nearer, weaving connections among strangers. In this bubble of understanding, Sarah found strength. Maybe, she mused, the hidden fortune isn't just what we pass on. It's the ability for each generation to build their own story. Emily is not only my daughter, she is the author of her own life. As she concluded, anticipation buzzed once more. "I wonder," she said slowly, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, "what revelation might come next in her journey? What unforeseen challenges lie ahead? And is it possible that the greatest fortunes await her just around the corner?" The excitement in the room was palpable, a throbbing current carrying them all toward the next chapter. As the lights dimmed slightly, she sensed a collective breath, as if everyone was leaning forward, ready for whatever came next. What tales would unfold now? And how would Emily embrace her destiny? Just as the air crackled with anticipation, Sarah felt a wave of connectedness swell within her. She realized this moment wasn't just about her fears or Emily's dreams. This was about all of them, the stories woven through the fabric of their lives. Families, friends, and strangers shared an unspoken truth. Love is messy, powerful, and transformative. Life is an adventure, Sarah said, her voice steady. It's about growing and learning together. Emily's wedding isn't just a celebration of her love. It symbolizes every person here who has faced their struggles and forged ahead. As she scanned the room, she caught familiar faces, each bearing their own burdens, but finding strength in community. She saw her old friend Linda, dabbing her tears, and knew she wasn't alone. Sarah's heart swelled with gratitude for the journey she'd taken, as she felt empowered to embrace every facet of it. Then suddenly, laughter erupted as Emily's husband, Jacob, stood up to raise his glass. "To new beginnings," he exclaimed, drawing everyone's attention. Cheers erupted, and the room filled with clinking glasses and melodic toasts. The moment felt electric. It was a reminder that life is a collection of beautiful chapters, each spilling over with lessons learned in the cozy spaces of love and laughter. One by one, guests began to share their own heartfelt moments, interjecting tokens of wisdom that rose like floral bouquets in the air. "You're stronger than you think." A voice erupted from the back, igniting applause. "Don't be afraid to be real," called another, and the supportive energy surged through the room, wrapping around Sarah and Emily in a vibrant embrace. Sarah glanced at Emily, who was beaming with pride, radiating the warmth of vulnerability. too. There stood her daughter, a young woman ready to face the world, armed with knowledge from their shared struggles. Overwhelmed, Sarah could scarcely speak. Instead, she wrapped her arms around Emily, pulling her close. "You've become everything I'd hoped for," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. Emily simply smiled, her embrace a mirror of love and understanding. As the night wore on, the laughter deepened, and the music swelled. They danced, twirled, and smiled, carving out precious memories. The burdens of the past began to feel lighter beneath the lilting tunes, carrying their stories forward, along with their acceptance and love for one another. "Mom, I want to share one more thing," Emily said as they wove through the crowd. She faced Sarah, her eyes filled with sincerity. "Thank you for teaching me to embrace every bit of who I am. You've shown me how to find joy even in uncertainty." Sarah's heart fluttered. Here was her daughter, flourishing, the very embodiment of her own lessons reflected back to her. "And you showed me it's okay to own my journey," Sarah replied. "Life isn't about hiding our scars, but celebrating them. Only by facing them can we heal and grow." As Sarah leaned in closer, she knew this moment was just one of many that would their shared path. They still had mountains to climb and valleys to traverse. Tonight, however, they both basked in a profound revelation. They were no longer bound by the weight of unspoken truths. Their connection, forged in love and understanding, would carry them through. The last dance came, an emotional culmination of the night. As they spun on the dance floor, the world around them faded. Time melted away, and it was just the two of them, bathed in the soft glow of the lights above. Radiant happiness surged through her veins, painting the canvas of their future bright. The night concluded with laughter echoing against the walls, but inside, a spark of hope ignited, lighting the course of their lives ahead. Together, Sarah thought, we'll unlock every treasure waiting to be discovered, and weave our stories into a tapestry of love. And while shadows from the past might linger, they learned to embrace the light, openly writing the next chapters in their shared adventure. So, if you feel touched by this journey, there's something you need to do right now. You must subscribe immediately to our channel, or you might miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and connect us all. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for these meaningful tales. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about the ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of elevating community through empowerment. Let us spread love and connection together.